fists, he carefully relaxed them. Channeling emotion was a skill he'd turned into an art over the past decade. If he could do it in his work, reporting on famine, war, and suffering, he could do it for himself. His feelings for Faith had been a boy's feelings. He was a man now, and she, like Quiet Valley, was only part of his childhood. He'd traveled more than 5,000 miles just to prove it. Turning away, he got back in the car and started down the mountain. From the distance, Quiet Valley had looked like a Currier and Ives painting, all white and snug between the mountain and forest. As he drew closer, it became less idyllic and more approachable. The tired paint showed here and there on some of the outlying houses. Fences bowed under snow. He saw a few new houses in what had once been open fields. Change. He reminded himself he'd expected it. Smoke puffed out of chimneys. Dogs and children raced in the snow. A check of his watch showed him it was 3:30. School was out, and he'd been traveling for 15 hours. The smart thing to do was to see if the Valley Inn was still in operation and get a room. A smile played around his mouth as he wondered if old Mr. Beantree still ran the place. He couldn't count the times Beantree had told him he'd never amount to anything but trouble. He had a Pulitzer and an Overseas Press Award to prove differently. Houses were grouped closer together now, and he recognized them. The Bedford place. Tim Hawkins' house, the Widow Marchant's. He slowed again as he passed the widow's tidy blue clapboard. She hadn't changed the color, he noticed, and felt foolishly pleased, and the old spruce in the front yard was already covered with bright red ribbons. She'd been kind to him. Jason hadn't forgotten how she had fixed hot chocolate and listened to him for hours when he'd told her of the travels he wanted to make, the places he dreamed of seeing. She'd been in her 70s when he'd left, but of tough New England stock. He thought he might still find her in her kitchen, patiently fueling the wood stove and listening to her Rachmaninoff. The streets of the town were clear and tidy. New Englanders were a practical lot, and, Jason thought, as sturdy as the bedrock they'd planted themselves on. The town had not changed, as he'd anticipated. Railings Hardware still sat on the corner off Main, and the post office still occupied a brick building no bigger than a garage. The same red garland was strung from lamppost to lamppost as it had been all through his youth, during each holiday season. Children were building a snowman in front of the Littner place. But whose children? Jason wondered. He scanned the red mufflers and bright boots, knowing any of them might be Faith's. The fury came back, and he looked away. The sign on the Valley Inn had been repainted, but nothing else about the 3-story square stone building was different. The walkway had been scraped clean and smoke billowed out of both chimneys. He found himself driving beyond it. There was something else to do first. Something he'd already known he would have to do. He could have turned at the corner, driven a block, and seen the house where he grew up. But he didn't. Near the end of Main would be a tidy white house, bigger than most of the others, with 2 big bay windows and a wide front porch. Tom Monroe had brought his bride there. A reporter of Jason's caliber knew how to ferret out such information. Perhaps Faith had put up the lace curtains she'd always wanted at the windows. Tom would have bought her the pretty china tea sets she'd longed for. He'd have given her exactly what she'd wanted. Jason would have given her a suitcase and a motel room in countless cities. She'd made her choice. After 10 years, he discovered it was no easier to accept. Still, he forced himself to be calm as he pulled up to the curb. He and Faith had been friends once, lovers briefly. He'd had other lovers since, and she had a husband. But he could still remember her as she'd looked at 18, lovely, soft.